Hi, this is Chris Monk, owner of Highline Guitars, and you're watching episode 38 from the Luthier's Workbench. You know, years ago when I first started building guitars, I was installing fret wire using the traditional technique, which is just to pound them in with a small fret hammer. And it's a technique that works pretty well. It's easy to do, but it does have one drawback, and that is if you're not careful, as you're pounding in the fret wire, you can actually deform the frets. And this is especially true if you're using nickel-silver fret wire. It's less of an issue with stainless steel because stainless steel is so hard. But after about 50 guitars, I thought, you know, I'm going to step up to pressing in my frets. So what I did was I bought a fret press caul from StewMac along with the brass inserts. And rather than buying a complete fret press solution, sort of a standalone solution, I decided I would adopt my drill press and set it up to do fret pressing. And that worked really well. The problem was when I would set up the drill press to do fret pressing, it had to kind of stay that way for a while. And the way I work is I tend to move around in different processes throughout the day. You know, I'll do a little bit of fret pressing, I'll do a little bit of cutting and sanding and carving, a little bit of finishing, all of this stuff sort of throughout the day. I typically don't stick with one task from start to finish. I like to move around, and as a result, I would find myself in a situation where I needed to use my drill press when I had it, to drill holes when I had it set up to press frets, and that kind of became a bit of an issue. So I decided I was going to go ahead and set up a standalone fret press, and I took a look at the StewMac fret press. It's an arbor fret press, and at $110, I was kind of hesitant to pull the trigger on that. And now, because I also tend to spend a little bit of time at Harbor Freight and Tools, I had found that they sell a couple of different arbor presses that I thought I could adapt to being a fret press, and that's what I'm going to show you in this episode. So this is my dedicated fret press, and it uses the Harbor Freight half-ton arbor press. And what I've done is I've modified it to work as a fret press. You can't use it straight out of the box. You've got to make some adjustments, and I'll show you what those are in a second here. But this is really very easy to do. And I picked this up. It was an open box at Harbor Freight. I think the regular price is like $25, and I got it for $20 since it was an open box. So that's a heck of a lot better than $110 that StewMac is charging for their fret press. However, and this is important, the StewMac fret press has a couple of features that mine does not have. However, those features I felt were not that big a deal. One of them is it has a return spring on the side that works just like a return spring on a drill press. So when you push the press down and then let go of the handle, it will spring back automatically. Mine doesn't do that. However, I am thinking about adding a spring up top here, which will compress as I move the handle down and then pop it back up, but that's for a later date. So let me just take this apart real quick, and I'll show you the modifications I made to use this as a fret press. All right, so I disassembled my fret press here, and it's really pretty simple. The rack slides down in, the handle slides in from this side, and you just attach a collar with a set screw, and that holds it all together. So just by loosening that set screw, pulling it off, I can pull everything apart. And what I had to do to modify this to be a fret press is I had to drill a 3/8 inch diameter hole into the center of this rack, about an inch deep. And then I drilled a hole in from the side, which I tapped with an 8-32 thread, and then inserted a set screw into that. And the way that works is, as you might imagine, it's just a matter of, once this is all put together, I just slide the fret press caul into position and then tighten the set screw, and it's good to go. So now to attach the fret press to my workbench, what I did was I drilled a couple of holes through the table that line up with holes in the arbor press, and then ran carriage bolts all the way through. And on the bottom, I've got a couple of washers and wing nuts that secure the back of it. For the front, what I did was I decided I would probably need a table to support the fretboard. And what I did was I just cut a piece of, this is just some scrap laminated floorboard. This stuff is really flat, so it works quite well. And then what I did was I drilled a hole in the center, and that runs all the way through my work table. Then underneath it, as you can see here, I have another, this is just a bolt that runs through, I think it's a 1/4-20, with a wing nut, and that secures the front and keeps everything really stable. So it's sort of like a table / mounting clamp, and it works pretty well. So now I'll demonstrate how this thing works to press in frets. Okay, so first I take one of my pre-radius fret wires and I cut it to the width that I need for the fretboard. And in this case, I nipped off the tangs on either end. And then I just sort of press it with my fingers just into the slot, just to kind of get it started. And then it's just a matter of getting it lined up. And that's it. It's real simple.